I want to talk starting based on my experience here after more than 20 years in here in Jerusalem. As Custos, as Franciscan Custos, I am responsible for the holy places, Christian holy places here in Holy Land. But for us, the Ottoman Empire still is not finished yet. So our jurisdiction is not just what we call Holy Land, Israel and Palestinian authorities, also Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Cyprus. Turkey and Egypt became independent recently. And beside the holy places, independent from us as a religious institution. We are, as I said, in charge of the holy places, so most of the places you see friars like me, and also many parish churches, mainly in Israel, Palestinian Authority, and in Syria. After I heard, I'm sorry I came late because, as you know, we are dealing about water bills. A little ridiculous, but this is the life here. And I know very well, so I will be very short anyway. I can say very few things. First of all, the subject is present and future of the Christians in the Middle East. I heard a lot to talk about the present, maybe past and present, but my question is responsible of many communities is about the future. So we have to also need to have a very practical and concrete approach and less ideological. Maybe you agree, you not agree, but this is a beautiful aspect. I don't know if there is no time maybe for a dialogue, but I think this is our point of view. Middle East, according to my experience, is not out. I mean, or that, but at this reality and also this other reality. You find many contradictions in our life here. And also you have to take in consideration that each country is very different. The situation of the Christians in Egypt is totally different from the Christians. I'm talking now on the countries where I'm working, where I'm responsible of not all the Roman Catholic communities, but most of them. The situation in Egypt is totally different from the situation in Palestinian Authority, which is another country with respect to the Christians in Israel, not to talk about Lebanon and Syria and Jordan. For us, for our mentality, Middle East means from Egypt to Iran, and including the Emirates. Another thing, so we talk usually when we talk about the Christians in Middle East, we talk about the Arab Christians. But half of the Christians in the Middle East are not more Arabs. And half of them are living in the Emirates. And they are foreign workers. And also in Israel there are about, after 20 years still, I don't know exactly how many, but about 120,000 Arab Christians. But there are almost 200,000 foreign workers, that most of them are Christians. So things are changing since a long time. And also the demographic aspect is important. The Christians usually normal, depends also where we are, but in which country. But the Christians usually have not more than 2, maximum 3 children per family. So this is also an important aspect to take into consideration. Now the points. Another thing. If usually I say that if after an explanation about the Christians in Middle East or about Middle East, you think that you understood, means that explanation was not good, because it's very complex reality. Now the Arab Spring changed totally the situation of the Christians. There was a kind of status quo till a few years ago in Middle East, concerning also the life of the Christians. The Arab Springs, this is my point of view, changed completely the situation. Starting from Tunisia, Algeria, but there are no Christians except some foreigners. But from Egypt to the other countries, not to talk about now Syria, the situation changed dramatically. And the Christians, as everyone knows, always have been very cold. At the beginning, maybe in Egypt they were enthusiastic, but not so many at the end. But when I heard Christians talk about, very cold toward this so-called Arab Spring, because they knew very well that after the fall down of all the old regime, Mubarak, Assad and others, the only thing that remain in this country are the Islamic movements. And the question will be, which kind of movement? Salafists, the most extreme ones, or the moderate ones, but always anyway Islamic movements. There are this regime, Mubarak, Assad and others, were dictators. They were dictators. There was no freedom. I've been many times in Syria, last time a few months ago, and it was impossible to move without very strict control from the authority. If you say something against the regime, the day after you disappear. It was in Syria and in other countries too. So it was and it was impossible to keep continuing to live in this situation, of course. But the Christians were very well protected by the regime. According to me, the regime used the Christians very well in order to get support also from the international community. But in any case, it's clear that now I want to talk, because many of the things that you already raised are true. I have nothing to contest, and also many things, if you want to say about Syria and the actual situation in Syria, we are almost every day updated. Our questions as a religious responsible here is about the future, what to do. We know very well that the future of this country it will be with the Islamic movements, because there's no other realities. Because the regime were so dictators, there were not at all democratic dynamics in these countries. I don't know if in the Arab countries is possible a democratic regime according to the democratic system as we see in the Western countries. I'm wondering. Anyway, what has been said is true, but we have to be very concrete. So the future, we know very well that these countries, Egypt, Syria, is question of time. The Islamic movements will take the power. So what to do? To blame the situation is one thing. We have to be very attached to say the truth, one thing. But we live there. We have to live there. The immigration is an option, but an option that we cannot accept. Unfortunately, many Christians are immigrating. But we want to remain there, because we are part of this reality. So what to do concretely? So as everyone at the beginning, I'm thinking about Egypt and Syria mainly. At the beginning, the churches talk a lot or in favor or against this changement. Now we are speechless and we don't know what to say exactly. But we know very well that we have to be very prudent, because if you are totally against, you'll be for sure kicked out from these countries. They will destroy you. So, but we want to remain in this country. So we have to find a way to build and to not just, I don't know if the protection is the right word, but we have to find a way to remain with dignity in these countries. At the beginning, what the Christians are asking about this big challenge is not is a full citizenship in these countries. But it's not easy, because the Middle East cannot be a lay country like in Europe, where citizenship is one thing and religious belonging is another thing. There's this mixture. You can be atheist, but you belong to the Christian group, to the Muslims, to the Alawis, to the Jews, whatever. The belonging to a faith is also belonging to a group, at least in many parts of the Middle East. But at least we can ask, they want full citizenship, where the religious belonging doesn't prevail on the rights as citizen in this country. But we see this is a very big challenge for the future. But we have to try, as the Christians are doing, trying to do in Egypt mainly, to anyway to have a kind of dialogue with the Islamic institutions, moderate one. For instance, in Cairo with Al-Azhar University. In Syria, the situation is very complex. Now there is a big confusion, big mess. But the starting point is that we don't want to emigrate. We know for sure that Islamic movements will take power. We have to find a practical, concrete, and true way to remain in our countries where our roots are, with dignity, but also in a very concrete, practical way. It's not an easy challenge. It's not an easy challenge, but it's what we have to do. And I don't think there is an ideal solution. Whatever will be the solution we will adopt, it will be problematic. I mean, if you trying to have a kind of dialogue with the moderate Islamic movements, you will be accused of coexistence with those that are persecuting Christians. No discussion that Christians are persecuted in the Middle East. It's very clear. Every day we have see the images. But what the alternative is? We have to, the migration, once again, is not an option that we can take into consideration. We want to remain there. So it's not, so we have to find a way to work with institutions, the most moderate one, to have a kind of influence as much as possible, to use also the international communities. The international community have a very important role. Who spoke before me presented very well the social and economical situation of these countries that is absolutely miserable. And in order to change things, the first word is development, how to develop these countries. Otherwise, whatever we will do, whatever we will say, it will be useless. Because when you see the Western reach and you see through the networks and the media, and you see the reality where they are living, of course, these tensions will be also the first option. So the point is that the present is very clear. The future we don't know. And we don't have solutions. We don't know what to do. I've been, as I said, recently in Syria, and the Christian community is divided. It's not divided about the past and the present. It's divided about what to do in the future. There are parts that are saying we have to find anyway, this regime is finished, it's a question of time. We have to find a way to work with a new one, but who is the new one? How it will be? To whom? The opposition is very fragmented. The other will say, no, we have, after all these years in 2012, we cannot accept to ask for protection. We want rights. We have to talk, we have to say that this movement opposition is so-called rebels on opposition are wrong and so on. The truth is, in Syria, for instance, that there are no, I don't think there are no goods and evils. They are all doing big massacres. The regime with Assad and also the opposition. And we have many proofs on this. Something is also moving. And it's also true that a lot of people, a lot of foreign soldiers came from other Arab countries and are and those are very, very Islamic oriented and very anti-Christians. At the beginning, the Christians were not targeted, but now every day they are targeted. Every day, kidnapped or explosion in the churches and so on. This is the reality of the Christians. But once again, if you exclude the immigration, what the option is? And these are concrete, very practical questions, and that but we don't have the real solution. It is true that the Vatican and the Catholics, maybe they produce everyday statements. But in the territory, we are working a lot and supporting, helping as many others, of course, not just us. But what to do concretely? What to do is not an easy question, and we don't have an answer, to be sincere. We don't know what to do. That's the point. Totally different, I think you have to finish. Totally different is the situation, what we call the Holy Land, Palestinian Authority and Israel. In Israel, there are no problems. There are not the problems that we are facing in the Middle East. The main problem for the Christians is a problem of identity. They are Israeli citizens, but not Jews. They are Arabs, but not Muslims. They are a minority within a minority with all the complexes of all minorities. And from time to time, we see also in the papers recently about big questions about the identity. Should the Christians go to serve in the army, Israeli army, or not? Recently was on the newspaper, and the headlines and so on. Which kind of relation they should have with the state, and what they are. They are Arabs, but not anymore Palestinians like the Palestinian Authority. They want to remain in Israel, but so there are problem of identity. We have to teach now to the Christians in Ramle, in Jaffa, in the center of the city, the catechism. You know what is the catechism, I suppose. I don't know if maybe you use a different terminology to the Christian Arabs in Hebrew, because they know better Hebrew than Arabic, because they are going to the public schools where they learn in Hebrew and so on. So the questions and the big demand of the Christian society in Israel is not about rights on social support, but formation. That's the main challenge, and and the problem of the church, at least I'm a Catholic, for the Catholic Church, is that the society, the Christian society, is living in a society that the clergy doesn't understand. Most of the clergy, Catholic clergy, they don't speak Hebrew. They are coming from Arab countries sometimes, many times, or from Palestinian Authority, so they don't know. They live on another level, another world, and it's not always granted they understand the reality of the Israelis and and the challenges and the difficulties of the Israeli Arabs. Palestinian Authority is another country, totally different. It's not a country yet, and I don't know if it will be. I don't want to enter politics, leave aside. There are very few Christians, about 40,000 Christians, not that many, mainly in Bethlehem, Ramallah, mainly. I'm talking about West Bank. In Gaza, there are about not more. They do not arrive to 2,000 Christians. The society is still very traditional, and the challenges are totally different. Most of our works in the Palestinian Authority is to give social support to the Christians. The parish priest of Bethlehem, for instance, is not just the parish priest for the Roman Catholic in Bethlehem. Is their mayor. He has to take care about the life of their community, to mediate when there are fights, to find the support for those that have to go to Israel in the hospitals, support for the medicals and so on. So it's a totally different reality, still very tribal, while in Israel this is almost impossible now. Maybe in Nazareth a little, but I talk about Christians in some villages around Nazareth, but in some other parts of the country like Haifa, Jaffa, Tel Aviv, Ramle, and so on is impossible. They are just the main risk for the Christians in Israel is the assimilation. Assimilation not to they won't become Muslims and Jews, but assimilation to the Israeli culture, Israeli mentality and language, because they are living little by little the Christian reference point for their identity, Christian school, the parish, and also the regions where in the past were lived. So, in conclusion, I am not able to give a very clear conclusion. The future of the Christians is different according to the country we are talking. We don't know what will be the future of the Christians in Syria. For sure, they will remain much less than now, like in Iraq. In Iraq, where many Christians before all the changements that happened there before the war, the Iraqi war, now they are less than half than what they were in the past. We are afraid that in Syria it will be the same. because one of the problems of the Christians is that a problem is not a problem, but is a reality, and that is very easy, much easier for a Christian to go abroad and to emigrate or to find a place in the Western countries. And also it's much more difficult for a Christian to get acquainted to all this changement and to afford all these new reality persecutions and so on. Is much easier to emigrate. And also the Christians are usually, they have a very good education, and so they want very gratification from the professional point of view. This is also helping the immigration, without talking once again about persecution, what you said, persecution, political situation, and so on. So as responsible for many communities, every day I receive communication, but the question is, the answer is that we don't know what to do. We don't have an answer. What we can say is that you have to remain there. For instance, now we have some villages in the north of, the north of Syria, close to the Turkey border, that now are under the control of the rebels. And so many Christians left, few other remained. So the priest asked what we have to do, to go with those that are escaping, or to remain with the few ones that remain that cannot go away. We said, according to our conscience, but we prefer you to remain, and to say that I remain here in order to wait you and to waiting for your return when the things will finish, if they will finish, and so on. But it means that those that left, we lost them also. So there is no an easy solution. We lost because we don't know where they went, we lost communications and so on. So it's not easy to find a solution. But once again, the analysis of the past and the present is very clear, I agree. But we have to be very practical, we have to think about the future. So what our future is. We want to remain here because we belong to this land. We helped to build also the culture of this land, and we have the full rights to the full citizenship, to the full rights to the life here. Now there is all these changements are changing dramatically the present, and also they are preparing a new future that we don't know how it will be, and we don't know exactly what to do. The only thing we know that we have to remain, and we will do our best in order to remain. Thank you.
I think it was very, very important, Father Pier Battista, what you said and that you shared with us, because you are one of the, you're the only one amongst all of us who is responsible for so many people, for so many Christians in the Middle East. We all are only responsible for a parish or for a part of a parish or even less. So your words weigh very heavy. And having said this, it's also the message you give is very heavy. In fact, what it means is, if you don't know, is it that you would invite other people to help you to do something about the future? Would you be open to work with others who are ready to bring forward ideas, who bring forward proposals? Would you be ready to do this? Would you be ready for having some questions now?
Yeah, I've got
5 minutes. 5 minutes. So 5 minutes, and please to the point.
Okay.
Dexter.
I'm a Roman Catholic. I converted in part after having an experience at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and after meeting with you in 2007.
I don't remember, but it's
okay. But I've got a situation with the Christians in the Holy Land. It's an educational booklet. It was produced by the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem. And basically what it is, it's an anti-Israel document that basically, contradicts just about everything that you said up at the podium. And I'm having a tough time figuring out how to deal with this. Because on one hand, you basically acknowledge that the Christians in Israel have rights, But here, and that you talk about Palestinian Christians living in a traditional society, we know it's Islamism, it's the problem. But then here this talks about the occupation, the security barrier, and it basically blames the onus on the Christians. And what happens is that when this information comes to the West, and it's endorsed by the auxiliary bishop of Jerusalem, William Shamali, the Westerners,
Understood.
we don't
We have 5 minutes, so.
okay, we don't, when we obsess about Israel, we can't figure out what to do with the Christians and the rest of the region.
Another question. There was another question.
Yeah, Juliana, you had a question.
Yes, I actually was, I jotted down strategic solutions. Would you be open for us to bring other nationalities, other countries, to learn from the Jewish state to see what do they think? What would Muslims do if we were killing Muslims? Let's reverse the roles. What would they do? How would they do it? You know? So,
Anyway,
and I completely agree with you about talking to moderates. There are not many, but there are few that if we back them up, they will step up. They're in Canada, they're here in the States. I don't know about Europe.
both of you are more the question, two aspects. The question, the attitude of the Christians toward Israel, the Arab Christians. The Arabs hate Israel, point, period. Christians or Muslims, Arabs hate Israel. That's usually 99%. They don't, maybe hate is a thing that I shouldn't say, but no, they, they don't like Israel. I'm Italian, and for traditionally the head of the Franciscans should be not a local one in order to bring this balance as much as possible. But it is a fact. Israel has many responsibilities, of course, about also concerning the identity, many other things. But of course, there are also Israel is used also as a protest for many other things. We can talk also about the weather. If the weather is not good, the cause is the occupation, of course. The occupation has become the cause of everything. In many situations it is true, but not always. There is no all this discernment, also this balanced attitude. So to learn from Israel to an Arab, it is impossible.
Learn about two Arab among ourselves to see if we can learn from lessons that they've experienced.
Yeah, I mean, there are many challenges. So what is written there about the occupation? I don't know. I didn't read it. But the occupation is a problem. No discussion about it. Once again, there are many responsibilities, but it's not responsible for everything. The Christians have full rights in Israel, but they are not Jews, so they feel to be less. They feel it's not true, but they feel to be less citizens. So they will say many things, and also they don't like us, not Arabs, to talk about them. They refuse this. They become furious. So what you raised, it's an important issue. It will take time. And now we are going to sign an agreement between Holy See and the State of Israel. Next month it will be signed. We are now dealing, the most moderate one, how to prepare the community, because it will be perceived by the Christian community as a kind of how to say, Gida in Gida, איך אומרים? Prism. As traitors because we are neglecting the rights of the Palestinians and so on, recognize the Israel and this occupation and so on and so on. So the sensitiveness is still very, very high. It's very high. And the occupation, of course, is considered as protest for this. Once again, so that's true. That's true and very sad realities. What to do? To just blame, but we have to work with these people. They remain here, we are here. We have to find, once again, we have to say the truth. We have to find also the way, because if you are, we have to avoid wall against wall. We have to find a way where to build and formate and education and so on. And the main challenge is in Israel. to the formation of the Christians in Israel is the main challenge, because our future, at least here in Holy Land, is there. 60% of the Christians are in Israel. And this is a challenge, is a question. There are many many unfair position, attitudes, many also attitude and statements that are just emotional, and they reflect the needs and the will of the Palestinians. And also we have to keep in mind this is very difficult for the church. You see all religious. For instance, the Catholic Church, the Catholic bishop, his jurisdiction is not just Israel, is Jordania, Jordan, Palestinian Authority, and Israel. Where usually the religious leaders talk about the situation of Palestinian Christians in the West Bank, and the Christians in Israel feel neglected. So whatever you'll do, whoever will do, will be always something missing. And this is not easy challenge for the Christians. But what you said, it is true. The attitude toward Israel is negative.